Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Have you ever found yourself trying, really trying, not to think about something specific?
Oh, absolutely.
And then what happens? It just pops up even more, right? Like someone says, whatever you do, don't picture a pink elephant.
And boom, there it is. Big pink elephant right in your mind's eye.
Exactly. It's a classic little mental trick, isn't it?
It really is.
But today, we're going into something deeper, a concept that kind of applies this same weird logic to our biggest goals and feelings. It's called the law of reversed effort.
Or sometimes the law of inversion. Yeah.
Right. And it suggests, maybe surprisingly, that the harder we chase certain things, especially those internal states like happiness or peace, contentment, the further away they might actually drift.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is how this idea, which thinkers like Alan Watts and Schopenhauer explored, it really challenges that core belief we all have.
Which belief?
That effort always leads to reward. That hard work always pays off in the way we expect. So our mission today is really to explore why. Why does chasing some things, especially these internal states, seem to push them away? And how could letting go, which feels so counterintuitive, actually be the most effective path?
That pink elephant thing, then, it's not just about random thoughts.
No, not at all.
Our look into this suggests it's a really powerful metaphor for our emotions, too. Like, imagine that elephant is dissatisfaction.
Okay.
That feeling of sadness or stress, anxiety, maybe just general unease. We tell ourselves, don't be anxious, or I have to be happy.
Right, we try to fight it.
Yeah. And the more we fight, the stickier those feelings get. They seem to hang around even longer, don't they?
Absolutely. And this brings us right to that crucial idea, sometimes called the paradox of will. Alan Watts talked a lot about this.
It's a paradox of will.
Yeah. It basically asks, what if that intense desire not to feel bad, or on the flip side, the intense striving to feel good, what if that's the very thing blocking us?
So trying harder makes it worse.
In these specific cases, yes. The paradox is, the more fiercely you try to force an emotional state with willpower, the less likely you are to get it. You often end up more frustrated. But, and here's the key, when you kind of relax that tight grip, when you stop striving so hard, sometimes that feeling you wanted just arises on its own.
But wait, that sounds, pretty radical. We live in a world that's all about hustle, push harder, fight for what you want.
Exactly.
So does this mean you can achieve things without any effort?
Yeah.
That feels almost impossible. Everything we're taught is about hard work being the key.
That's a really important distinction, and it's where people often get tripped up on this idea.
Okay.
The law of inversion isn't saying effort is useless for everything. It's definitely not suggesting you'll, magically become a millionaire without putting in the work.
Or run a marathon without training.
Precisely. Those are external, tangible goals. They absolutely need specific, directed effort, strategy, consistent action. If you want to build a business, well, you've got to actually build it. Learn a skill. You need to practice.
All right, makes sense. So it's not about ditching ambition entirely.
Not at all.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting for me and probably for you listening too. These thinkers suggest the law applies to something deeper, like an internal thing, a kind of intrinsic well-being we're all sort of searching for, maybe without even realizing it. But what is that? What's that core satisfaction really about? Is it just money, love, perfect health? Living forever?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And while sure, those external things, money, relationships, health, they can bring happiness or at least reduce suffering.
Yeah.
The law of inversion perspective suggests they might just be, let's call them superficial copies of the real thing we're after.
Superficial copies.
Yeah. The paradox is believing that getting those external things will automatically unlock that deep, lasting satisfaction inside. But the more we chase them thinking they're the answer, the further we might actually get from genuine contentment. It's like trying to fill an inner void with external stuff.
So if it's not just about getting more stuff or achieving external goals, what are we really looking for? And if the answer is just happiness, what does it even mean? Society tells us it means having X amount of money or the perfect relationship.
Right. And Alan Watts had a really interesting take on this. He argued that part of the problem is we don't even know precisely what we want, because we can't really define it. And maybe we're looking outside ourselves for something that isn't out there.
How so?
Don't really know what you want. 2 reasons.
Okay.
First, what you're truly looking for you already have. And second, you don't know yourself because you cannot know yourself.
Whoa.
Yeah. He used analogies like a knife can't cut itself, fire can't burn itself, light can't illuminate itself. It really makes you pause, doesn't it?
Definitely. it raises this huge question. Could the very act of searching, of striving so hard, actually be hiding what we're looking for, blinding us to something already here? That is a powerful thought. And it seems like we humans, we kind of share this tendency, maybe a delusion. We think if we just fix the outside world, get more money, look better, get the bigger house, that'll fix the feeling inside, that emptiness or whatever it is.
It's almost the default setting, isn't it? External problem, external solution.
Yeah.
But this is precisely where the law of inversion flips things. It suggests the reason we feel that lack isn't necessarily the external situation itself.
It's not.
It's because we're fundamentally dissatisfied with our current state. And crucially, the more we believe we need external changes to be happy, the less satisfied we actually become with life as it is right now.
How does that work?
Because we're constantly focusing on the gap, constantly reminding ourselves of what we don't have compared to some future ideal state. The dissatisfaction stems from our judgment of the present, not just the present itself.
Okay, let me see if I get this. So, say I set a goal, become a millionaire, and I truly believe achieving that will make me happy. By setting that goal with that belief, I'm not just aiming for something, I'm also kind of telling myself, I'm not happy now. My current situation isn't good enough.
Precisely. You create that gap.
And that gap, that constant feeling of I'm not there yet, becomes this sort of background hum of dissatisfaction, even while I'm working towards the goal.
That's the idea. It locks you into a state of perceived insufficiency.
Wow. Okay.
Mark Manson, the writer, he puts this really bluntly.
What does he say?
He says, the more fiercely you pursue something, the more you just reinforce in your own mind that you don't currently have it. Like, the more desperately you chase money, the poorer and more worthless you feel, kind of regardless of your actual bank balance.
Even if you're making progress.
Yeah, because the feeling is tied to the chase, the perceived lack. He suggests that if you could somehow lower your internal standards for what you need to be happy, bring them closer to what you already have, you'd naturally feel less insufficient.
So shift the goalpost inwards.
In a way, yes. When your internal baseline for enough changes, your whole perception of your current reality can shift from lack to abundance.
That idea of the endless chase, it really makes me think of Schopenhauer.
Oh, yes. A cheerful fellow.
Right.
Yeah.
But our sources bring him in here too. He talked about this constant wanting, didn't he? Driven by something he called the will to live.
He did. He saw it as this fundamental, almost illogical, aimless, driving force within us. It just pushes us from one desire to the next, making lasting satisfaction basically impossible.
Sounds like a hamster wheel, philosophically speaking.
That's a good way to put it. Schopenhauer believed this deep inner lack fuels that constant craving, making us always want more than we really need. Our minds are always whispering, this isn't it, the present isn't good enough, escape to the future.
But the future never delivers.
According to him, no. Because when you get there, the will just latches onto something else.
Yeah.
So any intense pleasure is just an illusion, really, because no fulfilled desire brings lasting contentment. The underlying engine just keeps running.
Okay, that sounds incredibly pessimistic. What was his answer then? If this will is endless, how do you find any peace?
His solution was radical. He argued the only way to true calm is to, abandon the will and wanting itself.
Just stop wanting things.
Yes, stop striving, let go of the struggle. He believed that when you do that, this unusual inner calm just washes over you, a state free from desire. So, paradoxically, by giving up the struggle for satisfaction, you actually find it.
That's really countercultural. Especially today.
Hugely. He describes someone who achieves this as someone who stores nothing for themselves, and precisely because of this, they are always in abundance.
Abundance through having nothing.
Abundance in their state of being. They might look solitary, but internally they're peaceful. They act simply, don't waste energy, don't make strenuous effort. They can even look at the struggles of others with a kind of calm detachment, maybe even amusement. They feel complete by accepting things as they are, including their own imperfections. Contentment comes from inside, not outside.
Okay, so this really brings us to acceptance, doesn't it? That seems to be the thread running through all of this. The power of just accepting things.
Absolutely.
And the sources suggest this crazy paradox. The more you try to be perfect, the more imperfect you feel.
Right.
The more you try to run away from loneliness, the lonelier you actually become. But accepting bad experiences, that acceptance itself, somehow becomes a good experience,
Right.
whereas fighting them just makes you suffer more.
Exactly. It's like adding a second layer of suffering, a suffering of resistance on top of the initial difficulty. Acceptance dissolves that second layer.
Alan Watts had some great analogies for this, didn't he?
Oh, brilliant ones. The water analogy is classic.
Run mine.
He said, if you're in water and you struggle frantically to stay afloat, you tense up, you thrash, and you sink.
Yeah.
But if you relax, if you kind of surrender to the water, allow yourself to sink a bit,
Yeah.
you naturally float.
Ah, right. Because you displace more water when relaxed.
Exactly. Or think about trying to fall asleep. The harder you try to force sleep, the more awake and agitated you get.
Oh, I know that feeling well.
We all do. But as soon as you genuinely give up trying, as soon as you just let go, sleep often just comes. The effort itself was the obstacle.
So, bringing this all together for us listening, what's the takeaway? It feels profound. Like maybe when you let go of desperately trying to be happy, you actually become happy.
That's the core insight, I think.
Not because you finally got the thing you were chasing, but maybe because you realize you didn't need it as much as you thought, that you already have what's needed for contentment.
Precisely. Or when you stop desperately chasing some external definition of wealth, suddenly your life feels abundant because you're actually satisfied with what you do have. Any more becomes a bonus, not the source of your well-being.
Yeah, that reframes things completely.
There's a wonderful Zen story that captures this visually.
Oh, yes.
Imagine a pond. The water is really muddy, stirred up. You want to see the bottom clearly. What happens if you try to clear it by, stirring it more or pushing the mud away with your hands or trying to scoop it out?
You just make it worse, right?
Yeah.
Cloudier.
Exactly. You just keep churning it up. The only way to see the bottom clearly is to do nothing.
Just let it be.
Just let it be. Allow the mud to gradually, naturally settle on its own. Then the water becomes clear.
So the muddy water, that's like our desires, our extra thoughts, our dissatisfaction.
That's the metaphor, yeah.
And stirring the water is us trying to force things, trying to make ourselves happy through effort and struggle.
Our futile efforts, exactly.
And seeing the bottom of the pond, that's finding that inner peace, that clarity that only comes when we stop fighting and just let things settle.
Beautifully put. It emerges naturally when the striving ceases.
So just to be really clear here, this law of inversion, it's not saying give up on all your goals.
Definitely not.
It's not saying never try to change things or improve your situation.
Yeah.
There are tons of good reasons to work hard and seek change, not just blindly accept everything.
Absolutely. Practical effort towards tangible goals is still essential for navigating the world. But what this law is reminding us, quite profoundly, is maybe don't fall for the illusion that directly chasing those slippery internal states, happiness, peace, contentment, is the way to get them.
Because the reality is often the opposite.
The reality is often the opposite. And when you really grasp that, truly understand it, you get closer to that kind of sweet spot, that peaceful state of not wanting, where contentment isn't dependent on constant chasing. It arises from within.
Yeah. And that Alan Watts quote feels like the perfect place to land. The secret of life is not a problem to be solved,
but a reality to be experienced.
Right. A reality you find not by fighting for it, but maybe just by allowing it to be. Wow. And there's definitely a lot to mull over, isn't it?
It really is.
It pushes back against so much of what we're told about how to live, how to find success and happiness.
It certainly does, and it leaves us with a pretty provocative question to sit with, don't you think?
Which is,
what if the very thing you're searching for so desperately is only hidden from you because you're searching so intensely for it?